The Internet, a place known for its endless library of truly wonderful and diverse content. Learn how to play the guitar, watch any movie or show that you could ever want to see, or maybe enjoy cute animal videos, or maybe POV drone strike footage. The opportunities are endless. And all this content on the internet has, historically speaking, been free from the limitations and regulations that bind us in our day-to-day interactions here in the real world. But even a place like the internet has its rules, the so-called rules of the internet, a list of rules and isms originating from a Mongolian basket weaving forum called 4chan. Some notable rules of the internet include Rule 63. For every character, there is a gender-swapped version of that character. Rule 30, there are no girls on the internet. Or Rule 32, pics or it didn't happen. Now, those were just some of the many rules of the internet, but the rule that I want to take a closer look at in today's lecture, and perhaps the most famous rule on the list, is Rule 34, which states, if it exists, there is adult explicit media of it. Now, it might be easy to write off Rule 34 as just adult media, some other form of indulgent, not safe for work content, but there's more to it than that. Why exactly has Rule 34 had such a strong grip in the cultural zeitgeist, and what separates it from all the other gooning taking place? Well, that's what I aim to find out in today's lecture. So I'm Professor Lando. Take a seat, students, and welcome to Ligma University. Where did this rule originate from, and what inspired it? Well, the exact beginning of the term is hard to pin down, being used on forums scattered about, but a lot of scholars do attribute the popularization, at the very least, of Rule 34 to this webcomic here. Drawn by artist Tango Starry and uploaded to the webcomic site Zoom Out, the comic depicts the shock of someone stumbling upon Rule 34, of all things, Calvin and Hobbes. Now, the case of referencing a more questionable IP like Calvin and Hobbes, as opposed to something more palatable like something you'd see today, nowadays, like Nier Automata, Street Fighter, Naruto, or even Pokemon, might seem like a ploy to be incendiary or just shocking in the case of the webcomic, but there's something important that is being highlighted here, and that is the significance of contrast. Now, what do I mean when I say contrast? Well, the answer is tied to why Rule 34 is so popular and why it connects with so many scholars. Seeing a character being so outside of their original boundaries and in an explicit depiction conjures a very powerful response in the viewer. For example, let's look at a popular character when it comes to Rule 34. Tracer from Overwatch. As a combatant in a world of turmoil as depicted in Overwatch, Tracer would obviously not be seen in lewd scenarios. But that contrast is what makes Rule 34 so intriguing. Furthermore, it requires an effort of empathy from the creator to appropriately display the contrast in the Rule 34 art. For them to understand the source material and depict it in a way that connects with others who have consumed that same media, it requires a bit of artistry in that sense. They have to be familiar with the game, to goon. Speaking of gooning and video games, I'd like to talk about Cherry Tail, the sponsor of today's lecture. Incorporating elements from a global mythology, fairy tales, and legends throughout history, Cherry Tail is an adult-focused mobile game from Arrow Labs featuring a very cultured and academic take on those classic stories. Have you ever been reading these fairy tales and thought, this could use more gooning? Well, Cherry Tail does just that. Tinkerbell and Captain Hook, Red Riding Hood and the Big Bad Wolf. You can research them all in extensive detail in fully animated immersive story scenes featuring professional Japanese voice acting. And right now, the Dragon Boat Rampage Rice Dumpling Hell from Another World event will be featuring fellow YouTuber Akaoni as an otherworldly visitor arriving from the dream realm to fight the monsters within. Akaoni will be featured as a limited edition character with her own special illustrations and her own personal voiceover. Check out the new event stages and log in for 7 consecutive days to claim your premium rewards. All right, students, you can click the link down below to check out aerolabs.com and see for yourself exactly how academic Cherry Tail is. And to celebrate Cherry Tail 3.5 anniversary celebration, you can log in from now until June 30th to get 10,000 diamonds and an anniversary commemorative summon ticket. Thank you again to Cherry Tail for sponsoring this lecture. So the unspoken reason as to why the contrast of Rule 34 works so well is because of one very important thing: comedy. It is in this sense that Rule 34 is enjoyed beyond carnal desire. The comedy and connection it evokes brings the viewer and artist together in this sort of performance even, and it's relatable in this way. That's the key word here. To reference the source material and connect that understanding with some sort of adult element is what makes Rule 34 so special, combining two of the most enjoyable emotions people can possibly experience: amusement and arousal. The Amazing Digital Circus, another example of the public showing keen interest in the contrast of source material and the gooning, particularly with this character, Pomni. She's a jester with a big round head and noodle arms and legs, and she's a bit of a chud in this slapstick sort of show, albeit with some serious themes here and there. The point is that here, contrast is at a maximum, and the resulting desire for the Rule 34 of this character reflects that. With Pomni's addition to the hit game Fortnite, you can see countless people are ravenous for this character to be put into Rule 34. Throughout history, key figures have emerged to champion the people's movement, regardless of what niche or community it might be. Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves and quelled the American rebels. Susan B. Anthony led the charge for women's suffrage. Confucius for his Chinese philosophy, or as he might say, Jian Mi Niang Pao. And for gooning, Rule 34 has its own pioneering figure, Zone Sama, artist and animator known for her parody flash animations, or Rule 34, of classic anime and cartoons. Zone Sama was not only prolific and technically skilled, but also a master at employing that sense of comedy into her work. Younger scholars in the audience may not remember the heavyweight that Zone Sama was back in the era of Newgrounds in the early 2000s, but I need to tell you that Zone's ability to tap into the Gooner zeitgeist was uncontested, with the insanely viral animation of Anka from Animal Crossing, truly the Mike Tyson of gooning. Zone continues to create content operating as a VTuber and creating content with their original character named Zone Tan from time to time. And we couldn't possibly have a lecture about Rule 34 without mentioning their pivotal work in the genre. So, I thought that we could demonstrate our newly gained insight on Rule 34 by playing Rule 34, a guessing game where you are presented with two characters and you have to make an informed guess on which character you think has more Rule 34 posts on it. Not only will this be a good way for me to demonstrate my expertise on the subject, but also a good way for you students to play along and see if you've learned a thing or two. Okay, so here we have round one. It looks like there's 10 rounds. Don't know if we'll include every round here, but I haven't seen this before, so let's just take a crack at it and use some education to our advantage. Okay, we have Carlos Oliveira. I have never seen this character in my life. Or Ino Yamanaka. I didn't know that was Ino's last name. From Naruto, obviously. Carlos from Resident Evil. Okay, Carlos here has your very typical sort of Solid Snake kind of gruff, handsome look that I know that a lot of people online enjoy, but when it comes to Rule 34, I do think that the consumers of it are more leaning towards a male demographic. Not to say that women aren't gooners, but Rule 34 specifically in terms of the consumers of it. So also I've never even heard of this character before, Carlos Oliveira. And I mean, Ino is like, come on, Mount Rushmore of Naruto Goonage. So I'm gonna assume it's gonna be Ino, probably by a landslide if I had to take a guess. 14,000 to barely over 1,000. So there we go. So why don't we just keep playing through? Okay, Toru from Dragon Maid versus Akali from League of Legends. So this actually is a tough one. You know, when I say Rule 34 is a way to connect with the wider community, more often than not, that does imply that the bigger piece of media, not always, I don't think that would always be the case, but with an IP like League of Legends, who I would have to say probably skews more along the Gooner side of things, I think Akali definitely takes this. Whoa, that's not as much as what is this even pulling from? I don't even know. Has anyone fact checked this? I'm not sure. 2 for 2 so far, Akali. I don't know if they get progressively harder here. No, no game, no life. What does that mean? That's not even a character. Just the entirety of No Game, No Life versus Blastoise? Like specifically Blastoise from Pokemon? I don't know. No Game, No. I mean, I'm sure students out there's probably one of you guys that you're the most diehard No Game, No Life. Now, am I overthinking this? Blastoise? I mean, this is Rule 34. You know, we're not in the furry leaning side of things. I'm not going to overthink it, especially when we're considering No Game, No Life as an entire. But who knows more than one character? It's the 2 characters, right? It's Sora and the girl. I don't even know that. Oh God, is it more popular than I'm giving it credit for? Blastoise? It's not that I'm underestimating No Game, No Life. I don't think Pokemon is to be underestimated in this situation. It has to be Blastoise. Oh. Okay, next round. Okay. Pultra, how do you say that? Fellini from Zenless Zone Zero, or Asterion. I can't stand this character, Asterion. I hate this guy. I played it I've tried to play it like twice. Haven't finished it, but I never liked this guy. Okay, so when we think of Rule 34, I do think D&D, Baldur's Gate, Asterion, it is oozing with role play when we talk about the comedy aspect of Rule 34, drawing from the in-universe to create this sort of comedic, relatable sort of enjoyment of the media. I would have to say Baldur's Gate and Asterion is probably high up there, but this Fellini character, I mean, it's sort of cheating. It's also a furry character. Zenless Zone Zero is just like it's just like a gooning game, just like game built for gooning, reverse engineered gooning. So it's actually a tough call, but like I said with that other character from, was it Resident Evil or Metal Gear in the beginning? I think male characters just, unless we're talking about like Link, Cloud or something, Venti, I just don't think that they're going to beat out something like Furry Baddie. Oh, correct. So far, so good. Okay, Cottontail VA versus Gears of War, the video game. So we talk about key figures like Zone Sama. This is quite funny. I didn't know VTubers showed up on this. Cottontail VA, we talk about Rule 34 as a community. Voice acting is hand in hand with the artists who create the animations, the drawings, the models. And Cottontail VA, prolific. There it is. I didn't even mean to do this, but saying that out loud, when you're searching for Rule 34, they're going to be categorized by the different tags. The series, obviously, the character, but more importantly, the artists involved with the creation of that piece of Rule 34, the artist and the voice actor here. So I think this is a trick question. Or not that I would think Gears of War would have more Rule 30. That's some sick shit. But it has to be Cottontail VA. Oh my gosh, what is that? 10, 9, 11? 11 post difference. But correct. Liepard, the Pokemon, versus Sarah Bryant, Virtua Fighter. This is some unk shit, Virtua Fighter. I don't even know. Oh, but look at her. I mean, gooning and fighting games. Oh, I mean, I was about to say gooning and fighting games go so hand in hand, but it's Pokemon. However, Liepard? Oh, I don't know. I have never heard of Sarah Bryant. I don't know who this is either. God, I mean, part of me wants to think that fighting game, the genre of fighting games is like especially honed in onto Rule 34, but it's just like any Pokemon could have like a bajillion posts. Because people goon to Pokemon a lot, apparently. I've never seen this one though, in a gooning context. But look at it. It's all like cat-like and kind of, bull, kind of. But that's just like a woman. That's like just like a sexy woman. Sarah Bryant, Virtua Fighter. What console was that even on? Fucking Dreamcast or something, I don't know. So it's not that I think Liepard is more goonable than Sarah Bryant, but maybe Virtua Fighter was a little bit too far back before the popularization of Rule 34. I'm going with Liepard. What am I doing? I overthought it. That's a woman. That's a sexy woman. I should have. Okay, next we have Helm from Nikke versus Cassiopeia from, is that her last name? I never knew that. What is that? DeConto? She French? Is that what that is? From League of Legends. Okay. So I think this is I think this will be a perfect demonstration. Ooh, but Cassiopeia? If it was any other League of Legends character. I know people like their monster grills, but I don't think I've ever seen. Okay, so here's the thing. Nikke, built for gooning, reverse engineered a gooner game. Quite literally, more than Zenless Zone Zero, I would say. I think that there's more of a contrast with the League of Legends characters. And again, I don't want to extrapolate too much on like the size of the audience of the game. That doesn't always correlate. Something like Mario doesn't have the most Rule 34 just because it's the biggest video game. But like League of Legends specifically, Helm from Nikke, I'm not really sure who this character is from Nikke. Less of a contrast. You're already halfway there with gooning, so why even, it might as well be Rule 34 already. I'm gonna go with Cassiopeia. Oh, it's getting harder. Aphelios from League of Legends versus Rillaboom, the Pokemon. Okay, first of all, never seen that Pokemon in my life. Rillaboom, Aphelios. I mean, Aphelios is a little twinkie. What is that? He's got like some kind of spirit maiden. Like I could totally imagine some Rule 34 where like that maiden's like giving him the reach around, and he's a little twink. And again, League of Legends. I know I just led myself astray by picking League of Legends just by virtue of it being League. But again, I also led myself astray by overestimating Pokemon. And I don't even know who this Pokemon is. It has to be Aphelios. That's some sick shit. That's some sick shit. What are you talking about? What is that? Rillaboom, what is that? Okay, Giorno Giovanna from JoJo's Bizarre Adventures versus Carol T. Freedom Planet? What is that? Is that like indie version of Sonic the Hedgehog? Okay, guys, look. There's no way. What is that? Carol T? What? I've never seen that in my life. Giorno, Giorno is, again, very twinkish, very popular for Rule 34, the twink territory here. I wouldn't necessarily say femboy, but what is that Carol T from Freedom Planet? There's no way, it has to be Giorno. Holy shit, what is the Freedom Planet? Carol T from Freedom Planet, what is that? It almost has enough, it almost has the same amount as Giorno, 1,200 posts? Pretty good, I would say. Ooh. Lola Bunny from Looney Tunes. Or Nanashi Mume, VTuber. Same. I want to say the same thing. Where Lola Bunny, yes, has been this goonage icon, but the overlap of the popularization of VTubers with the overlap of the popularization of Rule 34 as a concept and its consumption online, I think that, you know, one of the original wave of VTubing and the Rule 34 crossover, I think the crossover of them peaking, I think is going to be very, oh my God. I'm gonna do it. It's Mume. Holy fuck! That can't be true. 1,800 search results? Wait, 7,000? What is this based on? This can't be right. Play main mode. What is that? Oh, what is this? What was I playing? Wait, what the fuck is this? Main mode? What was I playing? So, in conclusion, what separates Rule 34 from some random adult video you might stumble upon online? The answer? Community. Artists and viewers engaging in an elevated appreciation for the media we enjoy, the shows we watched, the games we played. And it's apparent from the numerous lewd art trends that come and go to having its own mythos with key figures like Zone Sama and other constantly emerging adult artists, modelers, and voice actors, that Rule 34 is more than just some raunchy art of Ada Wong's toes. No, it's family. To wrap this lecture up, I want to see if Rule 34 really holds true, to put to the test if it exists, there is adult explicit media of it. Is that really true? I exist, I'm Professor Lando, and I exist. Therefore, there must be adult explicit content of me. Let's see if it's true. No results. No Rule 34 exists of Professor Lando. So, wait. No.